another Friday, and here with another beautiful woman.
Aww.
Well, not another one, the same one.
The same one.
But, okay, that backfired really quick. But anyways, let's just drink this.
Okay. That's the stuff.
And we are back.
We're back.
I am so excited. Yeah, I need my water. So excited because today actually something really exciting happened. And my company that I started a few years ago, a very small time company, got some funding and it's going to start working on a new, very exciting project. And it's like the first time I'm going to be able to work on this or any project like full time for like a good 9 to 12 months.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
I'm super pumped. I'm super pumped, super excited. It's just
it's
awesome.
falling into place.
Everything is falling into place.
Like
except for the shot glasses, they're empty.
That's true.
All right. So anyways, welcome back, of course, to the Drunken Parents podcast. And in this podcast, we sit down, have a few drinks pretty quickly, and start to answer your questions on anything that you might want to ask us, really.
And just talk about parenting.
And talk about parenting, because of course we're at our first kind of episodes and we don't have any questions yet.
So we're just going to talk about parenting.
So we're just going to talk about our own stuff.
Yeah.
So, but if you do have any questions, you listen to this podcast, thank you very much for listening. Send us an email at drunkenparents@gmail.com and give us your question or advice on pretty much any topic.
Totally qualified to answer any question.
So qualified to answer any topic of conversation.
We have all the big words.
We have so many big words. Up here in Canada, we have words too.
We have words too.
They're huge.
Just don't do that ever again.
They are the huge words. All right. Before we get into it, we have to talk about our non-sponsor. We have to take a minute to give a shout out to the people who aren't sponsoring this podcast. And today's non-sponsor is, of course, Axe Body Wash.
Axe, of course it is.
No matter how many times I use their products, like they say, the girls just don't magically appear on me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
I don't know.
It must be in their product.
I think it must
be. Well, it smells good though.
You get one girl that comes.
Yeah, but you're like...
Your milkshake things on the post.
Yeah, I know. But you're like, I already have you in a sense, right? It's just the new ones.
Kind of obligated, right?
Exactly. That's how it is.
Well, right.
I don't know. Maybe next week there'll be some, I don't know, Dove for Women will be the sponsor. You could... Or not the sponsor, our non-sponsor, I should say.
Non-sponsor. Yeah, maybe.
Anyways, all right, moving on to another shot. Here we go.
Here we go.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, it is.
But so bad at the same time. Oh, I'm spilling already.
Please do.
So today, what I thought would be a good idea to talk about was, of course, we launched our new site last week, which is called The Homeschool Family.
Right.
So homeschool or homeschooling family?
Homeschool.
Homeschool family. I should learn the name of our website.
Might be helpful.
And yeah, we homeschool. We've been homeschooling for a couple of years now, even longer than that if you think of the half days you've had Tristan out of school and all that stuff. So we feel like we have a little bit of knowledge that we would like to, I don't know, just talk about anyways. And so I thought today would be a good idea to basically talk about kind of all the myths that are out there about homeschooling, or kind of maybe debunk, I guess you can say, some of the myths that are out there.
I think that's a great
because,
idea. There's a lot out there, and I think it could be a barrier to some people that maybe don't have any alternatives to school, and maybe sorry.
I thought you were going to keep going there and just kind of stop.
Sorry, that don't have any, don't want their kids in school, but maybe don't really think of homeschooling as an alternative. So maybe some of these myths or whatever might keep them from doing it. So yeah, no, for sure.
What I don't know if I asked you this if I asked you this last week, but what are your favorite things about homeschooling?
Flexibility. There's so many things, but yeah, flexibility is number one. I mean, we can go anywhere, anytime. We did Canada's Wonderland this year.
I love that.
in what was it, June?
Yeah, it was
Before
in June.
school got
Before
out.
school was out.
So it wasn't as crazy busy as
Still
usual.
busy, but
It was still busy, but
oh
not
my
like
goodness.
the ridiculous
Not like
crazy.
waiting 2.5 hours for like a 30-second ride and being utterly disappointed.
So that, and I mean, like, we were able to go to the beach. We've gone to the beach so many times and been like the only 3 people or 4 people at the beach in the summer. Like, it's
Right in the middle of town.
yeah. I mean, our first full year of homeschooling, our first day of homeschool, we went to the beach. That was our recess. So that's really nice. Our science center, we go to our science center. We have it to ourselves. Like,
For the most part, that's right.
yeah, we've been able to do like some really cool things because they've been the only kids, and so all the people around you like, what can we do? We want to do something because they're bored, right? There's nobody else there, so it's really awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, what are the things about public school or just school in general that you don't really like? What are the things that kind of bothered you that would make you think like, you know what, it might be better if the kids weren't in school?
One size fits all learning. That's like number one.
Yeah.
Everybody, I wouldn't want to be a teacher now. I mean, that's what I was going to be, but I wouldn't want to be now just because you have 32 kids in a class and every single one of them learns differently.
And it's just one teacher pretty much.
It's one teacher. So, I mean, that's...
And we're not even talking about bringing in the whole special needs thing into the equation, because that's a huge thing that's really starting to get traction out in the media these days.
Yeah, but like even just like looking at Maya, who's typical, and they're teaching stuff, and it's not how she learns, and so she was way behind in math before we started homeschooling. Now she's completely caught up, and she's doing great.
And they'll be ahead probably very soon.
They'll be ahead, by the end of this year, of course. But anyways, so the one size fits all learning, it doesn't work.
And kind of an extension to that is something that I've always hated about school, is that you don't really have that one-on-one time with a teacher, or you don't have that time to really sit down and ask somebody a question or ask the teacher a question to really get the comprehension. Or alternatively, the teacher can't sit down beside a student and really see if they're understanding what the lesson of the day was or what have you. Because like you said, you have 30 kids.
And kids are good actors, right? They can pretend they get something because they feel pressured because the teacher is like I need you to get this so I can move on kind of thing. So they'll just pretend, and then you think they have it, but they don't. Yeah,
I don't even know how things work in the classrooms in terms of the teacher knowing what every kid is doing and like how even the lessons even work and how they go around to make sure kids are doing. I'm just trying to think of my own experience going through school. And I just remember in high school anyways, it was just teacher would just do their thing, and then you would take your notes and just do the work, and then if you do it, you do it. If you don't, you don't.
Even the only class I really had the biggest problem with that was calculus.
Oh, that's like my favorite class.
You're a weirdo. But calculus is like, it's really difficult, and I was like really good in math. I was asked to write math tests or math contests and stuff, but for some reason our calculus
I always got certificates on math tests. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Thank you.
When they had those competitions that everybody in the province or Canada would go in, I would get like the top whatever percentile.
I know, you're special.
I am special.
Anyway, but what I'm saying is that like the teacher I had for calculus, I did great in everything else except calculus because I had
elks. You sound like elks. You talking about elks now?
Everything else except calculus because the teacher was shit. And
You're only as good as your teacher.
So I had
Absolutely.
a shit foundation in calculus. You need to have a good foundation in that. And then so when I came to university, I crapped out first semester in calculus, and then I had to actually switch my whole program because I couldn't take calculus 2. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I know you switched because you switched out of biomed, right?
Biochem. I was in biochem. I switched to bio.
But I could have tutored you. I mean, I had my own problems there in first year.
Then I had to continue like taking calc, and I was just like,
there was just 2.
There was other stuff I would have had to take. Anyways, doesn't matter.
I'm the guy that took calculus classes as electives in university for fun.
Who does that?
They were my bird classes to give me my high marks.
I don't even get it.
My average.
I don't even get it. That's like, anyways.
It's math because we talk about this all the time when we're teaching the kids. It's like once you get the concept of the question, change the numbers around, change the wording of the question. It doesn't matter. It's the same. It's the exact same. At the end of the day, it's do you understand this specific concept? And what I love about it is that if you don't understand, you just keep repeating the questions until you finally something clicks and like I get the concept. I mean, I'm not one of those people that are like super, Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting now. I just understand and I could just play.
Like
No, it's not like that. But it's like once I got the concept, then I got that one, and then move on to the next one because it's like it's the same thing. So I don't know. I like calculus, but that brings me to another point that we were talking about, or that you mentioned, is that teachers, a lot of them were just garbage. Like I remember a handful of teachers that were good, that actually inspired me to maybe want to do better. But for the most part, they were all just terrible. So actually, tell me a story, if you remember, of like the worst teacher you ever had.
Okay, well, to...
You know this. Well, you gotta have...
I will.
You're behind now. You're behind. If you're not listening to the video, if you're not looking at the video or watching the video, she's behind one shot. Yes, we keep score. Okay, now we're 3-3.
Got it. Anyways, I have two.
Two bad teachers.
Two funny stories.
Is this PG or this is like one of those Harry Weinstein teachers? Is
Jesus, no. So I went to
I'm going to have to see you after class. That reminds me of that. Anyways, I don't know if I should tell that story.
Probably not.
That's funny. I'll tell it.
Anyways, so I went to the same high school that my parents went to, and so I had like many, not just like one or two, but like 4 or 5 teachers that my parents had. So when I came in, they like knew last name, they knew who I was. So that's just weird in and of itself, right? Just like fucking retire, man. You've been there long enough. I think you need to retire. You're taught 2 generations now.
Yeah, I don't know if that's so much the teacher's fault or your parents' fault for just staying in the same spot.
Well, back when they were young kids, they were young parents. However, so the one
and how's
teacher...
that working out for them, by the way?
What?
Being young parents. Your parents, they're divorced. That was the point.
Well,
how's it working out for them? Not so well. This is my point. All right, that fell flat. Okay, keep going.
So anyways, one of these teachers, some kid like lost their shit in class and just took their binder and fucking like over their head smacked a couple other kids, and she's just like, and she's a French teacher, like it was like French class, and she's just like, qu'est-ce que c'est, ooh la la, like
that's not how French people talk. Is that racist?
No,
I think it was racist.
I don't care.
Because language has to do.
But because she was just like so like flighty and just kind of like not getting that your student is like
literally beating some other kid,
beating someone else, and going fucking ape shit. Like you need to address the situation and not be like la la la, whatever.
La la, madame, c'est monsieur.
Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, I don't think that's how French people talk.
Whatever.
But anyways, so she was a bad teacher.
She was a bad teacher.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Anyways, yeah. Okay, you?
Anyone else?
No, that was
you said you had 2, but...
Well, just, no, 2, like, the fact that I went to the same school. I had the same teachers my parents had. And
yeah, that doesn't make them a bad teacher, per se.
Well, I mean... You could tell they're at the end of it. They're kind of done.
Yeah, I guess so.
They're coasting, waiting to get their pension.
Listen, kid, I don't have time to teach you 5 plus 5. Literally, I'm like retiring in 2 years. I'm just biding my time. Like, seriously, just leave me alone, kid. Yeah. Go in the corner and have some Cheetos or something.
Anyways.
It's funny that you say... I remember now when you're in school. Remember when you're in school, which was always kind of cool, where you get your textbooks, right? The first day, you get your book of the class, and you write your name in the leaflet or something.
My parents' names are always in there.
Yeah, that's fucked up. That's actually worse than this story. So now you're totally downplaying my story.
I'm sorry,
but it's hilarious.
It's weird to see your parents' names in your textbooks.
Absolutely.
Like shit.
But I just remember being in high school, and I had kind of my group of friends or whatever, and there was all of us, we took OAC chemistry together. I think we took it in grade 12, so that was I guess if you're younger, OAC is the grade 13 that got kind of destroyed. But OAC was great. I loved it because you're like, 5th year
OAC
was the best, right? And you had like spares, and you had like
you were the king of the school.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah, so we were in grade 12 taking this OAC course, and this one guy, this friend of mine, he got his textbook, and then he opens it up and he looks at the guy's name, and it's the guy that was like 2 grades below us who had already taken the course. So he was like this kid in like grade 10 or 11 who already took the OAC chemistry course before he did. And he's like, what the hell is this, man? It's like, I can't take this course. I can't read this book. This kid is like 2 years younger than me, already taking this OAC course. It's like, it was just like, it was just, we were just laughing and just teasing him the whole year about that. But I remember that was a great part of school, is just getting the textbooks the first day and like writing your name in it. And I don't know. I thought, do they even do that anymore? I don't know. See, we're not going to know these things because our kids aren't in school anymore. And I was kind of in high school too. Is it all digital now? They don't do that though. They don't. In high school, they don't send kids like, oh, this is online. Do your homework online.
Well, no, I mean, English books, obviously they're going to have to give you, right? Like that you have to read, like.
I don't even know. Like, things are so This is so sidetracking everything, just hijacking so conversation because we haven't even gotten to the myths of homeschooling yet. But
about again?
Like I was just, I went down the YouTube rabbit hole as I kind of always do. But I saw this video and I think it's UC Berkeley or whatever. That one's crazy with these crazy social justice guys just going off and being like. Oh, just
crazy.
I don't want to
be crazy, but anyways, go on.
There was this video where these kids, whatever, I don't know, they go into their classroom while people are trying to write their midterms. And they're like, they disturb the whole thing. It's like, we demand that we're able to take these midterms at home, and we want it to be an essay because this is causing us mental and physical pain or stress, all this kind of ridiculousness. And then the professor's like, if you want to talk to me outside, like we'll talk outside, but like people are trying to write these midterms. And then they're going off on and like telling the professor that like he's a white supremacist or whatever, because and like everyone who's taking their exams are white supremacists because you're supporting this type of behavior. And it's just like this is the environment of this is higher education. What's the lower education like? Like
I just feel like
I don't know how people are training these kids, but these are environments that I don't want my kids to be into, thinking that this kind of stuff is okay. It's completely not. It's I don't want to say insane, but it's the thought process that has to go through your head. It has to be completely warped, is that the identity of a person trumps what that person can actually do. So
this is interesting because this is actually a whole other podcast, Odum, for real.
All right, well, okay, get to your point across, and then we'll get back to our.
This is a whole other podcast, but I love Dave Rubin, and he had Rubin Report. I love you, Dave.
Do you want to be alone for a few minutes?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I love Dave. But anyways.
I know, you just said it again.
He had this Lauren Southern. Lauren Southern is actually Canadian.
I know her.
Okay, so she's Canadian. She's conservative, anti.
Yeah, I don't believe everything she.
No. Neither do I.
She spouts, but some of the stuff she's spot on.
She was talking about an experience she had in high school where it was like a social justice class that you can take in high school, and they were talking about everybody in the classroom and discussing if you're white, then you have all this. Get a little
closer to your mic there.
If you are white, then you have all this privilege.
Yeah,
and then,
of course.
So, but it was just going around the classroom and then pointing at everybody's identities. And then talking about...
That was part of the class? That was a lesson?
That was a lesson that she said.
It's that they went through. That's what's so racist.
Anyways, and one more reason to homeschool your children.
It's identifying people based on their race
and religion,
even forgetting about that. Well, that itself is another issue.
Another podcast.
But... identifying people by just what you can see as opposed to what they do is in itself goes against what they do, what they think. There's some other agenda going on there with these guys. That's it makes no sense.
No, it makes no sense. Anyway,
because a person is a person and you have to judge them by their actions and what they do.
Oh my God. You just really brought it back to elementary because Dr. Zeus.
Yeah.
Did you not have
these are people.
Horton,
I don't know.
Horton Hears a Who?
No.
Okay, Dr. Zeus, amazing. Horton Hears a Who. A person is a person, no matter how small. It's a thing, and Horton Hears a Who.
All right.
Anyways, so let's bring it on back.
I don't know. It's ridiculous. What are we at? 4 shots? Yeah, 4. This
This
is
is
4.
four.
All
This
right.
is 4. Okay, so let's bring it on
Yeah,
back.
it's kicking in already. Well,
well,
not
let's-
already. It's been
Well, let's do some homeschool myths
all
because
right.
let's
Okay.
get back
All
to
right.
it.
Now it's been like 20 minutes. Homeschool myths, which is what we're here for, right? Yes, that's why you clicked on the link to watch this podcast, because we're going to talk about homeschool myths. So maybe we should do that.
Thought we were.
You thought we were. You thought wrong. Transformers series.
agenda.
Let's talk about Transformers now. How bad are they? I don't know. I don't watch them. They're terrible.
Okay, let's move on.
The first one was actually pretty good, but other than that, they're terrible.
Let's move on.
The first one's good. Okay, so myths of homeschooling.
Yes.
So let's go through a couple of them,
Okay,
and then you can.
number one on the
All right,
list.
I was looking at the list, but you have the list. Okay, go ahead.
But this is always number one. Unsocialized. Oh my god, they're not going to be around other kids. What are we going to do? They're not going to be socialized. I don't know how to interact with people. What the
Okay,
fuck?
all right. I don't know if anybody who's that dramatic when they say it.
They kind of are, actually.
I guess-
I don't know. You're not out with the kids, so you don't hear the shit that people say to
I
me,
am sometimes,
right?
but yeah, it's the whole fear of that my kids aren't going to be able to socialize with other kids.
Well, not that just that they're not just going to be able to not socialize, but that they're not going to have any social skills, right?
Or that the 29 kids aren't going to be bullied anymore, and then the one kid isn't going to have low self-esteem and be a bully. Like,
Yeah.
it's anyways.
So,
But
anyway,
yes, that's a concern that people have, and it's kind of valid. The first thing you think about is like, I'm pulling them out of
course it
all
is.
social interactions.
Of course it is.
What is it like?
So this was a huge concern for us, even more so, I think, than most homeschool families, because when we moved here, we moved to Sudbury right after Christmas. Put the kids in school in
2
January.
years ago, about
Put the kids in school in January after the Christmas break, then pulled them out 3 weeks later.
2 weeks later.
So
They only had 2 weeks.
They had 3 weeks.
Okay.
So they had no time to make friends here. Like literally no time to make friends. And I knew no one here. I knew no one in the homeschool community. And so pulling them out, I was like, yeah, they have no friends. Like, what the fuck are we doing right now?
And now they have all the friends.
And now they have all the friends. And now I have to like say no to things because there's just so much going on.
And I think the point is that as a parent, you get involved with the homeschooling community.
Yep.
You meet other parents that are doing homeschooling, that have their kids in homeschooling, and you guys just kind of get together, because every time it's like there's somebody that's organizing a massive event for everybody. They're going to the conservation area, or they're going to a science center, or some museum, or whatever happens to be in your area.
Party, Christmas party.
Exactly, all that stuff.
Yep.
And there's plenty of times to socialize with kids there. Pretty much, if you want to, you can engage with some other family or families every single day of the school week, because we're all in the same situation. We're all homeschooling. We all, don't have that social interaction in the sense that we're not going to school. So we look for that in terms of play dates or what have you.
Yep.
But at the same time, you're not getting the negative social interactions as much as you would in school, because there's not the worry of bullying. There's not the worry of, I don't fit in, or any of this kind of negative aspects you can get.
So this is one thing where I'm going to stop you, because there are going to be families that you don't get along with.
Absolutely.
That's
Then
life.
just don't hang out with
That's
them.
life. And so that's the point, right? Where school,
You have no choice. The kid has to go meet their bully every single day.
So
Sorry, maybe I'm talking about something different here.
No. But school is not socialization. School, and this is really important. It's not socialization. It's forced association.
That's true.
It's forced association. If there is a kid in the homeschool community that does not get along with your kid, you have the choice to not engage with that family.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point.
And that's fine, right? Like, and that's
Absolutely.
and that's a big thing. You can choose not to go or to go, but then to just like not be with that family if you're on an outing,
Absolutely.
right? Like,
And that's things, excuse me, and that's things in your adult life where if you make the decision to not have negative people in your life because it brings you down or whatever the reason is, you can get them out. That's the real world.
That's the real world, and that's the lesson that you can teach your kid.
Exactly. That's the point for me of homeschooling is teaching the kids real life lessons into how to deal with things in the real world, not this fantasy that maybe some high school courses or even elementary school courses teach. Like things aren't always sunshines and rainbows in a sense, right? Like
and I guess
there has to be real world applications.
And I guess the thing is too is like, okay, say there is a family that you don't want to be around, but they're at an event, but at least
But that's different though.
No, but at least like you are there as the parent and you can coach your kid through a social interaction and help them to avoid that person or to have a better response to that person, and then to make sure that your kid is not like emotionally damaged for life by being bullied, right? You're there to mediate it and to help guide them through it, right? Because that's the point is at school there is none of that.
Yeah, nobody's watching out in the recess. Yeah. The one thing I'll say though is that I do think like bullying, when it's just a little bit, it's not the end of the world in the sense that there's bullying even when you're grown adults. I mean, look at how Donald Trump just bullies people in a sense. Like that's at the highest order, right? And like all the locker room talk, blah, blah, blah. That's true. Harvey Weinstein. Bullying it's a real thing. And I've seen it happen in workplaces as well too. It happens. So it's just like, it's a lesson. It's a life lesson. So I'm not the one to say that I want to take my kids away because there's bullying. Some bullying is okay, but there's others that are just extreme where it's like every single day one kid is picking on another kid constantly, where that kid finally snaps and like
kills
sprays everybody, right? Like,
but I think
there's a difference with that.
Okay, but I think what you're saying is bullying is what people think their connotation with bullying is. It is not ever okay. Some conflict with kids, and sometimes when you don't get along with kids, you're not going to get along with everyone.
We can get more philosophical and talking about what is bullying. Absolutely.
Everyone is going to like you. That's just fucking life. Okay?
Exactly. You can be the nicest person, but there's going to be some guy sitting there like, I fucking hate you. It's like, why? Maybe I just do. You don't know why.
But what's the point, right? That's the difference. I think what you're saying is light sexual assault is okay, but like full blown sexual assault is not.
That's a whole other issue.
But what I'm saying,
want me to get into that.
What I'm saying is that you can't just say that's what it's like saying like a little light bullying is okay. No, it's not.
It is okay. No. I've had worse Christmases with my cousins or with my uncles. There's Jim Jeffries again. It's perfect.
I fucking love him. Anyways, but my point is that bullying is not okay, but conflict and then learning how to manage conflict and conflict resolution is a different thing than bullying.
I do, but bullying isn't about conflict. Bullying is about somebody asserting like social dominance over another to make themselves feel better about their shitty life.
Which is why a little bullying is not okay, right?
No, I'm not saying it's okay, but I'm saying it's part of life. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but it's still conflict,
I know,
right?
But I'm saying if you get a little bit of bullying, at least it teaches you how to hopefully deal with it in the future, because it's something that does happen. It's not like, oh, you're out of school, no more bullying. Then you go to work and you could be in your 40s and you could have this boss that's a bully. You know what I mean?
Yes, but you gotta learn. You
gotta know how to deal with it.
But my point.
You deal with things through experience too.
Yeah,
I see your point. And your point is completely valid. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. I'm fine.
We'll have the stare down and we'll talk about it off air. All right. Point number 2. I don't know how many points we're going to get to. We have like 6 or 7 points, but we'll see what we get. Point number 2. Myth number 2. Homeschooling myth number 2. Sorry, this gets so bad once this stuff starts kicking in.
Jesus, man, pull it together.
I'm pulling it together. Okay. Myth number 2. Homeschoolers are these crazy religious people that just worship the Bible and like
some
I don't know.
Like some are.
So I just said it's a myth, and you were saying, yeah, you're right. Point number 3.
No, like for real, some are.
For real or for reals?
For reals.
Oh, okay, all right.
For reals, yo. No.
Yeah, I should have done that. That was racist.
Yeah. Anyways, call me a racist.
That was a little bit.
Exactly. Anyways, no. People have so many reasons for homeschooling, and I feel like religion, at least here in Canada, is maybe not a huge one. I've met a lot of people here, religious and not religious, who choose to homeschool their kids. And even the religious ones, it's not based on religion.
Yeah, I don't think, you're right. I don't think people choose to homeschool because the religion says so. There's nothing in the Bible that I know of anyways that says like you must homeschool your kids.
No, but it's not about like what's in the Bible. It's about like teaching like biblical values. And they feel like
okay.
the school,
Right.
like abstinence only.
That's okay. You're right. Okay. Yeah, that's...
like those type of things.
Okay, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
of
crazy.
course that's crazy.
Oh, I don't want you to learn facts. So we're not going to teach... We don't want you to learn facts of life. We're going to teach you... what alternative facts or what we just believe in. It's like belief, but you can believe in whatever you want. You can believe that the sky is purple, but it's not. That's that.
But anyway, so that is a big misconception, and I think for me, because going into homeschooling, I was so like kicking and screaming. I was pulled into being a homeschooler, and that's because I thought that these people that homeschooled were crunchy granola religious zealots, and it is
like you said,
not true. It's
some
not
of
true.
them are though, but you know what? Not very many in terms of the whole percentage.
I actually,
like out of the 20 people we know, like maybe
for
two.
real.
You know what I mean?
I have not met one.
Yeah, they might be good at concealing their beliefs, possibly because they know they're maybe a little crazy. But yes, there's not. The point is they're not.
I mean, if people are evangelists, they'll let you know.
You can tell.
There's no one I've met that's an evangelist. So it's not.
Point absolutely taken. So there's not very many,
it's not.
And it's not something to worry about.
No,
and if you do meet them, just don't hang out with them, like we said before.
Yeah, don't hang with them. I mean, it's
just forget them.
A really interesting story, and this is how homeschoolers are. One of my homeschool mommy friends, she was
homeschool mommy
friends. She was at I don't know where she was. It was like a lesson, like a guitar lesson or something with her son, and she found out there was a family kind of in the waiting room waiting for their lesson too or whatever, and she found out they were homeschoolers, and she's like, "Oh, you're homeschoolers?" Because whenever we meet each other, we're just like, "Oh, we want to bring more people, like
the brotherhood, their sisterhood kind of thing."
Sisterhood, right? We want to bring more people in because we want our kids to have more other kids to play with, and just more people, right? And so she's like, "Oh, you're homeschoolers?" Like, "Oh, I am too." And you go kind of a little bit crazy, right? Because you are a little bit crazy. But this other family was like, "Yeah, we're homeschoolers, but."
We're Christian.
We're fine. We're fine.
We have God on our side, so we're good.
But they did not want anything to do with my friend. But
that's fine.
But
whatever, right? Like, what are you going to do, right? You can't change people's minds.
Is my friend's actually a Christian? It's just not. She's not hardcore enough.
She's not hardcore Christian
to hang with these ones. So
she doesn't want to just burn people just because of what they believe in.
I know, right? So, anyways, so that's
to each their own, I guess.
Debunked. Moving on.
All right. Point number 3. If you homeschool, your kids are never going to be able to go to not high school, but post-secondary education. They can't go to college. They can't go to university.
No.
Complete bullshit, right?
Complete bullshit.
All right. So I even wrote a post about this. I spent like 2 days writing this huge article on this.
So hard.
And the thing about this is that you can easily get your OSSD, Ontario Secondary School Diploma. Of course, if you're in another province or another state or whatever, it's going to be different. But I'm almost positive that every place has something where you can get online. You can do the courses, you could take the tests or whatever, and then get your degree at the end of, whenever you want to finish it, right? Like, you just have to be like younger than 18 or something like that. Because diploma. Because if you're over 18, then it's like the GED. So it's just like the equivalent of high school. Yeah. But it's different because I think if you do want to go to post-secondary education, it is easier if you do get your OSSD as opposed to your GED. I'm not sure exactly the reasons why. It's kind of...
I think the thing with the GED is they would expect people with a GED to apply as a mature student.
Exactly. So that's what it is.
So that's a different ball of wax, right?
So if your kid's in high school or they're of high school age and you're homeschooling, you can have them take these courses. They're online. I think at the I think it's ilc.org, Institution Learning Center.
I don't remember, but it's I know it is ILC. It's ILC.
Something learningscenter.org. Anyways, you go to that site, you can see all the places in Canada where they offer. Actually, no, you can see in there they offer homeschooling courses for high school. So you can take your credits there. You have to take like 30 credits as a high schooler or whatever. And then you pay like $40 per course and you could probably take it in like a day or two.
And you have to get your volunteer work in, of course.
Yeah,
that's
40 hours. That's
40
easy.
hours
40 hours. There's no problem there.
Yeah. What's interesting about this actually is that recently we have like a Facebook group for Sudbury homeschoolers. And actually, there's a woman on there. There's not very many. Most of us are like elementary age.
We'll get there, obviously.
Families, yeah. But she has a kiddo. I'm not sure how old he is. He or she, I don't even know. But they've been talking a lot about
gender fluid.
But they've been talking
Not
a lot about.
Not she. Zer.
Sorry. Stop. They've been like asking like a lot of questions about like the ILC actually, and like their kid is taking courses through the ILC because there's a lot of problems with the high schools here actually. So the ILC is a thing, and so people are.
Of course, it's a thing.
So people are like actually using it.
Yeah.
So
the point is that's complete bullshit. If you want to get your diploma, your high school diploma, it is easy, and it's probably easier than going to high school. I bet you a smart kid or a kid that's dedicated can get it done in probably less than a year, because at
high school diploma do 4 years in 1 year.
Let me tell you, when
I don't know about that. I'm just saying.
When I was
really
sick, I think when I was sick, I got sick with mono 1 year. I think it was in grade 8 or grade 9 or whatever it was.
Who are you kissing?
I had the kissing disease. Oh, you don't even want to know.
Probably not.
Anyways,
you haven't seen his driver's license picture.
What are you getting at? Driver's license. This has nothing to do with grade 8.
You're a
grade 9
student card picture.
Yeah, I had those glasses that made me look like basically a serial rapist. But hey,
You're still like really cute though.
They were
they were
the
cute.
80s or 70s like rapist glasses. Watch the John LeJoie rapist glasses video. So just go to YouTube and type in John LeJoie rapist glasses. That's what I look like. Minus the beard, of course. Anyways, okay.
You're still really cute.
Okay, can I get on my story? The point is, I had mono and I was sick for 3 or 4 weeks. It was a long time, and I was just at home, just like doing nothing but like learning how to crochet or whatever. Why you just laugh? I think I'm not in grade. No, I wasn't at this time. I hadn't found it. But if I did know about it, I probably would have been doing it all day, every day. I had to keep my fluids up. Okay. All right.
Gatorade.
Was Gatorade even invented back then?
Yeah, it totally was.
Yeah, back in like 80.
Back in, as our children say, the olden days.
The olden days. Oh, we had to go to
They don't say the olden days. It's the olden days.
Yeah, we're so old.
We're so old.
Anyways, what's my story? So, Gatorade. No, that's not my story. Mono, yes. So I was sick in school for like 3-4 weeks, and then the teacher sent me a whole bunch of this is all the work that you're missing for the whole 4 weeks. Yeah. I did it in like 3 hours. All of it done. I just sat down and I finished it. No. Right? It has nothing to do with that, because I'm not this genius. I'm not some guy who's curing cancer right now. I'm some guy who's sitting here on a Friday night having drinks with you, doing a podcast. Yeah, I insulted you. How'd your calculus go, by the way? That's what I thought. Not so good. Okay. So point proven. My point is that if you just sit down and do the work, you can get it done so quickly. It's like anything. It's like your buddy Tim Ferriss, because you read Tim Ferriss and I like him as well too. It's like, when I was a kid or whatever, I'd get a job and I'd do all the work that I could do in the 8-hour shift in like 45 minutes. You'd be like, well, can I go home? Because I'm done my stuff. It's like, no, you can't go home. I'm not paying for that. He's like, but I did everything that was on my list to do. So that's the whole point. It's like, you can get your shit done like 90% faster. So yes, you can. If you have your stuff together, you can get your stuff done in a year. That will take you 4 years, even faster than that. And it's like we were saying with the kids, and before they were homeschooling, they were behind in certain subjects, and now they're ahead.
Yes.
So
No, it's true.
And
It's
honestly,
true.
like the stuff that they teach in elementary school and high school, it's not that hard. It's not that hard,
I agree
right?
with
If you
you.
apply yourself and you have the right teacher
I think-
to make sure that you get the concepts, that's the thing of homeschooling. You get that one-on-one. You can see what they're doing, see what they struggle with, see what they excel at, and then you tailor your instructions to them and how they learn, how they react, and you could progress so much faster than they ever would be able to. Otherwise, they'd be bored in school, right? Like if they get it at school, they're just bored because the idiot kids in the classrooms are behind, and the teacher has to go at a certain pace, and you're sitting there bored, which is what I was like in high school for most of the time. I was sitting there bored. I'm like, this is...
Yeah. But you can, but I feel like having now taught the kids for 2 years, there's a certain maturity that they have to have. There's a social emotional development that they need to have before you can kind of move on to some more advanced stuff.
That just depends on the child. It's a child by child basis.
Yes, and it does for sure.
You know, some kids graduate high school when they're like 12. It's just how it is.
But this is a point where at the very beginning you're asking me what I like about homeschooling, and it's about the flexibility because every kid has a different intellectual ability and every kid has a different social emotional development where they are, how fast they develop. And so that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Probably not.
All right, so let's move on.
Because never what you're saying. I would treat it as disrespect.
That is like the funniest line in the 40-year-old version. And it's cut out from like the real cut, but it's in the director cut. It's with Kevin Hart and Steve Carell. He's in the grocery store. He's in the stereo store. He wants to buy the stereo from, it's not with Steve Carell, but it's with the other dude that's in the guy that was on Weeds. Anyways, the other smart tech employee. I don't know the name.
What's his name? He's
I
so
don't know
funny.
his name. He was on Weeds or whatever. Anyways, so what's his face? Kevin Hart goes up to him and says like, okay, I like the stereo, but I'm going to need the extended warranty of the price of on the house. And he's like, I can't do that. And he's like, well, you can do something. Or I don't know. You're wearing this nigga tie or something. I don't know. It's just going off. And then he's like, okay, now you're speaking me in a word. What he says, you're speaking me with disrespect because I don't understand. No, what he says, you're being no. It's like now you're being condescending. So let's just move forward amicably and like let's fix the situation. And then Kevin Hart goes like, okay, let's check this out. It's like because you're throwing out these words that I don't understand, I'm gonna treat them as disrespect. It's like watch your mouth. it's just so funny. It's like, I don't understand this, so therefore you're disrespecting me. Oh, the uneducated. It's so funny.
I just fucking adore you.
Yeah, I don't even know why we're talking about this. Nobody wants to hear this.
Explain it well at all. People will go and they'll watch the real version and they will understand that point
watch
of
that
it.
clip. We'll just watch the clip. It's just Kevin Hart being hilarious.
In the director's cut because it wasn't in the original.
It's really weird.
Anyways.
It's not the one. It's not on the version. The virgin. It's not on the version that's on Netflix.
On Netflix. Anyways.
Yeah, because I remember watching. I was like, but they didn't have that part. That's the whole reason I watched the movie is to get that hilarious Kevin Hart part.
Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Anyways,
that's hilarious.
moving on.
Anyways, okay. We're gonna move through this pretty quick. So there's this kind of misconception, I guess, or this kind of thought that regular people or people that have their kids in public school or just regular school, public or private school, think that homeschool parents are these like arrogant pricks that are too good for homeschooling, right? That like, they think they're so much better than everybody else. I'm not going to associate myself with them. I don't want to be like that.
Well, or just
is that right? Kind of,
like a little bit. I think the thing is like people think that parents that choose to homeschool think that they're arrogant enough to think that they're better than public school or whatever. They can educate their kids better than the public school, and I don't think that's true. I'm sure maybe some people do, but I think the vast majority of people that homeschool, the reason that they do is they have reasons.
Yeah.
They have very specific reasons, and they're not.
It's very specific to the child and to their children.
And not just to the child, but to their family's values. And it's not that they think that they're like better than the school system, but there's something that they feel is missing that I don't know.
Well, I see what you're saying. It's not. See, at the end of it, for me though, honestly, I will think that yes, we and most homeschoolers are better than the school system. But the thing is that I don't think that I'm a better parent than parents that keep their, that's, you know what I mean?
That's a different myth.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, that's the one that I'm trying to get across. Is that parents think that homeschool parents think that they're the shit, and that if I don't homeschool my kids, I'm an idiot in a sense. So that's not what it's like.
We don't, I mean, we're like everyone else. We don't feel like we're the shit. We feel every day we feel like we're failing, and we're like, oh my God, I should probably make it.
Calm down. I do not feel like that every day.
Well, maybe you don't.
I don't.
He's not a mother. He doesn't get it.
I'm not a father. You're not a father. You don't get it. You don't want to go. Why would I want so much negativity in my life? I don't feel that bad.
No.
Yeah, there's days. You're gonna have the hard days. You're absolutely gonna have those hard days.
But the point is, it's not that we. And I think this goes to another homeschool myth. It goes to a bunch of homeschool myths, actually, because it's not that. I mean, my best friend, both of her kids are in school, and I don't look down on her ever. I love her, and what she's doing, she has her kids in a school and they are learning very well, but
Are they though?
They are, but what it is like what I feel is best for Tristan and Maya at this point, where we are, the city that we are, the school district we're in, what's best for them is to be homeschooled.
Here's something from homeschool parents, or at least from a homeschool father anyways, is that I could care less about what you're doing with your kid, because honestly, it doesn't concern me. I don't care. I don't care what you do. You do what you feel is right for you. I don't know what you're doing, what your situation is like. I have no idea. For me, what's best for my kids is homeschool. And that's really. That's it. I don't look down on you if you put your kid in school. I went through school. It's not bad. We didn't you went through school. We didn't turn out these horrible people. But I just, the way the school system is right now, it's just not right for our kids and the way that they learn.
Like our kids. Like
exactly.
Our two kids. And I feel like it's not a judgment call on anyone else, right? Like that's how I feel. It's not a judgment call.
Absolutely
it's
not.
Just, and I feel like that's one of the things I can't even say strongly enough, because I would never. This is like
just come closer to the mic.
This is like the biggest thing that motherhood has taught me is you cannot judge anyone. People do things, families do things that are right for them. You can't judge someone because they don't breastfeed, because they co-sleep, because they wear Birkenstocks. You cannot judge people. They do what's best for themselves and what's best for them, their families.
Yeah,
if they choose to send their kids to public school, that's the best choice for them, and they're happy with that choice, and that's all that matters, right?
I will agree with you like 90%, but there's times when it's like, you're keeping your kid in school and they're clearly in the principal's office every day, or that they're disturbing the class and throwing chairs every single day. Something else has to give, right? Well, so I know what you're saying. Everyone has their own things, but you can still look through and say like, oh, okay, you know what? You're not making the right choices. And that's, again, it is a matter of opinion. And if I look at a parent and seeing what they're telling me or whatever, I'm like, well, you're just really not making the right choices, because not everybody makes perfect choices. Neither do we, right? So I agree with you saying everyone's got to do what's good for them. But if your kid's not learning and it's a ball of stress every single day. It's like every morning you gotta wake up and it's a stress fest in your house to get everyone out the door at a specific time, all this kind of stuff. And then they get to school, they don't learn anything. You're messing with the principal every single day. It's like this back and forth like fight.
I feel like
things aren't working. So maybe you need to change things up. Anyways, that's
then it's like a pro-con type thing, right? Like, are the pros of school outweighing the cons of school, right?
At that point, there is no pros of school. Like, you can't tell me, like, when Tristan was having the hardest time in school, what's the pro of school? There's none. Like, we were sitting down, like, what's the pro? But any pro that you came up with was like, we would negate it with a pro that we can have in homeschool. Like, pro, well, he's not going to have any friends anymore. Oh, well, look at this. Well, we can have play dates, blah, blah, blah. We can go out to other kids. And like, everything was negated with homeschooling because we could be in control of what's going on, right?
But I think our situation is, to be honest, a little unique because I would actually, if we were still at the school that we were at in Waterloo, I would never want to pull him fully because he had so many friends.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Like I would disagree with the fact that he probably wouldn't be there anymore. And if he would be there, it would just be like for like the quick 1/4 of the day.
Oh, no,
but then it's like, why are we even doing it in the first place?
Well, no. Anyways.
So, it's hard to say. But the point is that, yes, we're not these arrogant pricks that look down on other homeschool or other parents that aren't homeschooling. It's just like, you do your own thing. I don't care about you. I don't, I'm sorry, you're not that important. I got to do me, you do you, right?
I guess for me, because I have mom friends that here and in Waterloo that have their kids in school, and I don't look down on them.
Of course not. Why would you?
I don't look down on them, and I applaud.
Our kids were in school too. It's not like
and so
it's not like it's a bad thing, right? This is school we're talking about, right?
And I would never want them to think that at all because I think. Anyways.
Yeah, we get it. I think we debunked that enough. All right, last one is this big myth that parents aren't qualified to be a teacher. Like, who are you to be able to teach children? What do you know? Who are you? How dare you presume to teach children?
So
all right, I can take a shot at this one.
Can you let me start? Can you let me start though?
So bad.
Can you let me start?
Yeah, no, I'll let you start.
Okay, so
you've already had that one. I should have this one too.
There's this like Jesus, man. So there's this awesome.
Oh, it took a little while with that last one, but it went down.
Hashtag great outdoors.
John Candy. R.I.P. All right, don't start that. We're on the car.
Anyways, so
my man. Oh, this is too much. All right, let's wrap this up.
So
parents are qualified to teach. Go.
So there's a super funny meme on Pinterest. I'll post it on our Facebook page. Homeschool Family on Facebook. Whatever. Shut the fuck. Oh, don't laugh at me.
Shout out to all you two listeners, my mom and your mom.
Actually, probably not either of our moms.
We should get them to listen to our podcast.
I don't think they would. Mommy.
If you're out there, just leave us a comment. Someone's watching, right? No one's watching.
Okay, anyways.
Or listening.
Anyways.
So someone's out there.
So there's a really funny, it's an interesting meme. It's like, it's like saying, it's like saying like you can't cook, like learning like that, really good home cooking from your mother is not the same as like learning it from like a chef, right? Or something.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I know. I'm sorry. I'll post the meme because it was much better than
we're not talking about memes here. We're talking about actual. Can you debunk this thing about? Do you want me to take a shot at it?
No. Yeah. No. I will take a shot at it.
No, without memes.
Without memes. It's a really funny meme. I'm going to post it because I can't get it across. But anyways.
You have a meme.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Anyways, the point is.
Move on from the meme.
The point is of course you can teach your kids. People have been teaching their fucking kids since. God damn.
That's what you do. You're a parent.
That's just what we are evolved to do. Parents have. I mean, you look at hunter-gatherer cultures in other parts of the world.
All right. Don't getting too scientific of like, oh, this is what. Break it down for the lay person. Well, here, let me.
You can.
Okay. Well, let me put my 2 cents into this. So, the way that I like to teach things and the way that I like to make sure that people actually comprehend what they've learned, is to get them to teach what they've learned.
Of course.
So what we do with our kids is that we make them teach the other child what they just learned. And if you can teach what you know or what you've learned and make the other person understand it, then you understand that concept. So that person didn't go to teacher's college, doesn't have whatever educate this and whatever, all that stuff. It's like if you know the concept and you could articulate it correctly to the other person to make them understand it, then they're qualified to teach that. That has nothing to do with what degree you have hanging on your wall or what school you went to. Has absolutely nothing to do with that. For us, you have your bachelor's in science. I have my master's in science and, well, in biology, I guess more specifically. And that's more education than all the teachers that teach elementary or high school. So am I not qualified? Like, I didn't go to teacher's college, which from all the friends that we know that have gone to teacher's college is complete bullshit. It's just a joke. It's just like, yeah, just wasting your time or whatever.
Drinking.
Yeah. So not for everybody, but for some people. But the point of the matter is that if you take an active interest into learning the material and to understanding it, and if you can articulate it back to some other person that can understand it, then you are a good teacher to that extent, right?
Yes.
So it always falls on the person teaching to know what the limits are or what their understanding is of a specific topic. And that's all there is to it.
But I think that this is like such... It's not, but it's not just. I think for a lot of us, it's humbling yourself in a way, because I think for me growing up, it's like my parents were infallible. They know everything, and
that's like everyone's parents. That's the whole evolutionary thing of trusting your parents so you don't die, right?
But at the same time, it's like for our kids, I don't want them to. I've said sorry to them so many times if I've done something wrong. So they know I'm fallible. So they know I don't know everything, and that's okay with me. And so a lot of the stuff we learn together, or they're like, what does this mean? I'm like,
I don't know. Let's figure it out.
I don't know, but let's fucking Google it, because fuck, I don't fucking know.
You're swearing to the kids like that? Oh, yeah, fuck, I don't fucking know. Fuck this shit.
Well, obviously I'm not swearing to the children, but...
Yeah, I work from home. Yeah. I'm just kidding. I know you don't.
I was just gonna say, you have your fucking headphones on the whole time.
Language again. That's again. Tone it down a little bit.
Whatever.
Anyways, no, I absolutely get your point.
But I'm just saying, and I think that's the one awesome thing that another like number 152 that I love about homeschooling is that
It's a very specific number.
It's random, actually. Is like I get to learn stuff that I don't even know because they want to know it. So
that you forgot it because who knows all this stuff anyways, right?
They want to know about this, so like I need to look it up, or we need to look it up together and learn together, and then they see it's more like a democratic process where we learn together, and it's
for some things and other things. It's like we know things and then we teach them to you.
Well, yeah, and of course, and like today, the big thing was the baking. Maya and I baked banana blueberry bread, and then I taught Tristan how to make pizza.
It's like, well, you're not Gordon Ramsay. How dare you teach your kid how to cook? It's like, no, you can cook.
This is the meme. Right?
If you can cook better than the person you're teaching, then you're a teacher.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, right? Like, if you're in grade 2 and you can teach somebody in grade 1 how to add the 5 times 7 or not add, multiply 5 times, you know what I mean? Then you're a teacher.
But being a teacher is actually really knowing it, internalizing it, and knowing it.
You have to know it because you're teaching it, right? That's the ultimate test of whether someone has learned something or not. And that is what we do with the kids. Like, can you do this? Teach it to somebody.
And
if you can't, then you don't know it.
You don't know it.
It's like whenever I not test the kids, but I'll just be like, okay, well, show me how this works. And if they can't do it, I'm like, okay, well, you don't really know that, so we got to work more at it. Yeah. And that's fine. That's fine. You know, they learn at their own pace, and we teach them at their own pace. That's the beauty of it. Yeah. You teach at their pace, like it's not at the school's pace. It's not at the curriculum's pace. It's how they learn. If some concepts take 6 months, they take 6 months. If some content takes or concepts take 2 weeks, then it takes 2 weeks. And if it normally would be done in 6 months, then that's perfect, right?
So today, this is one of the things that really kind of didn't piss me off, but a little bit pissed me off. When you're like, what are the kids ahead on? What are they ahead on in school right now?
No, I was just asking. I was writing a blog post about this stuff.
I know you are. But it's that's kind of a loaded question because they're not ahead in the subjects you want them to be ahead in.
I know that's a false statement. There's no subjects that I wanted to be ahead in. I was just asking you to ask because I do know that they were behind in school before we homeschooled, and now that we are homeschooling, they're ahead in certain things. I just want to know.
Well, and they are, but it's so hard to quantify.
Of course, it's hard to quantify
because it's because
we teach differently than what the curriculum says. Absolutely.
And
hey, I understand. We're in this together. I understand. I know this, right?
I know you do. I know. But it's just math. It's one of those things, right? We have to teach to where they are and teach to their strengths and work on it. And math is the hardest one. And so we are maybe a little bit behind, but
I don't know. Yeah.
But the point is I'm okay with it because I want them. We have been on multiplication and division for months, but the reason for it is because I want that foundation to be.
You have to have that. If you don't have that, you won't have anything else, right?
So that's why I've spent so much time on it.
It's fine too, right? Because I couldn't even solve a calculus problem now, and you couldn't. But if I was thrust in that job, that's what I wanted to do. I could pick it up and I could learn it and figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? You have the understanding, right? Yeah. But that's the whole point, right? So that's why we want to make sure. And I wouldn't have that calculus foundation if I didn't know how to add or divide or subtract, right?
I guess for me, it's even if they were 2 grades behind right now, I would be okay with it because
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
That
it's
means
getting
nothing.
That foundation.
You're right.
Down.
It means nothing to me. Grades always mean nothing to me.
Nothing. No.
And maybe they mean nothing to me because my whole life I was raised that they meant everything. Which I was well, forget that. You want me to have good grades? Fuck you. I'm gonna have bad grades then. That's a whole nother barrel of worms. All right. Anyways, so those were some myths that we kind of debunked. And if you maybe have other myths that you want us to answer, or you have questions about homeschooling, send us an email.
And for real, anything, anything.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. Some people think weird things about homeschoolers.
No, they do. Okay. Any questions or myths or whatever you have about homeschooling, email us at drunkenparents@gmail.com and we'll respond because we don't have any emails as of right now. So we want to respond.
And we want to make it.
No, but we do because it's just we've been doing this for years now and we love doing it and we just kind of want to share our knowledge because if we can eliminate at least a little bit of heartache, by passing on our knowledge, then why not? Because I think, we're talking about we don't think other parents are bad for not homeschooling or whatever. But at the same time, I do think homeschooling is better than being in the school system, regardless of your situation. That's what I think.
He's so hardcore.
No, but I'm not gonna judge anybody if they're not because school is school and it's not that bad, right? But if I had to choose between one or the other, I would choose homeschooling. Everyone should homeschool their kid because you know how your kid learns. You can structure your curriculum for them and you can be one-on-one with the kid and learn at their own pace and grow together. So that's my whole opinion on the whole thing. So therefore, if you have any questions for us, you can email us. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, right?
Okay, so then what I would like to say is that
no more school. Nobody can go to private school, public school. It's all done. Everyone's homeschooling. That's it.
So my whole point is you don't have to be a crazy Martha Stewart. I do these amazing crafts and artwork and all this other bullshit.
Anyone can do this.
To be a homeschool mom,
Anyone can do
because
this.
I'm not. We don't even do art, which we have to change a little.
Well,
maybe.
we do art, and then we're getting into it, so that's part of the learning process.
What I'm saying is, it's a learning process, and eventually, even if you're like me and you kind of suck, you're gonna.
What are you talking about? You don't suck.
You're gonna get there. You're gonna.
Sorry, that was terrible.
You're gonna get there. Even if you don't think you're good at it, you're good at it. They're your kids. You know your kids.
Exactly. Nobody knows your kids better than you do.
You don't.
You think your teacher knows, the principal? They don't give a shit about your kid, right? Honestly.
You know your kid. You know your kid. You're gonna do awesome. Yeah. Anyways.
And that's our 2 cents.
That's our 2 cents.
All right. So, thank you for listening to today's podcast.
Like, I hope people are listening.
Someone's listening.
I don't know. I'm really cold.
It's like 22 degrees in here.
It's Sudbury. I'm going to be cold for like the next 5 months.
It's like November 3.
Jesus.
I don't know what you want him to do. Jesus. I just say the same thing. It's just this habit.
Anyways.
Crisp high five?
High five. Crisp
high five. That was better this time.
We did it this time.
Awesome. I love it. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening and tuning in and sticking around. Did you literally listen to this whole podcast like over an hour? Thank you. That is awesome.
No,
that's crazy. It's more than just me listening to this podcast for an hour.
Even my mom is not going to listen to it.
No, she's not going to.
Probably not.
I love you. If you do listen.
I told them you do too, but I'm not going to. But anyways. We love our listeners.
Our listener.
I don't know. Anyways.
All right. Anyways, thank you once again.
So
and
much.
We are out. Have yourselves a great week. And we'll see you on next Wednesday for a new podcast.
Hump day.